Hello and welcome to the April 21st, 2025 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick, brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, we're putting money into this project of ours. We're live every Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in on YouTube to catch us live or catching the replay on our YouTube page. This is a program dedicated to bringing good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from sites like goodnewsnetwork.org and goodgoodgood.co, but we appreciate all of the articles sent in by you, the viewers. So, hello everybody. Hello, Christian, Cassidy, and Nico. Yes, the ticking clock is foreboding. Cassidy, not sure how I feel about the ticking. We can play around with it. I just wanted something to break up the timing. Since we don't have, like, intro music going during the countdown timer, I wanted to find something that could go with the clock. I know for, like, the emergency broadcasts, we do have the emergency broadcast song that goes while the countdown is going, so maybe we need to look into getting an actual, like, song for the countdown timer. I don't know. We'll play with it. Thank you for joining us, though. News Brew for tonight. If you keep an eye on our Instagram, you will know that we are doing the run-up to May. And the run-up to May means that every week, our Nick's News Brew is getting stronger and stronger. Last week, we were about an 11.5. This week, we're coming in at 12.5 with... Let me wait for it to zoom in on that. Come on, camera. There we go. Double Fudge Barrel Aged Abduction by Pipeworks Brewing. Pipeworks Brewing returns with another wonderful beer. This is a fantastic 12.5% ABV high-octane beer. It is an Imperial Stout that's aged in bourbon barrels with cocoa. I love the unicorn on it with the flag, with the pride flag, and it's just a fantastic beer. Hey, Becky. Oh, I was wondering what you were talking about. How about the final countdown? If we weren't going to be copyright struck into non-existence, sure. But I'm pretty sure if we tried that song, it would obliterate us. So, we don't need the Battle Song bottle opener because we've got a can. And because it is an Imperial Stout, we're in that stout season, we're using the limited edition Harpoon Snifter. So, blow the gain on the audio. Ooh, not that much of a crack to this one. Ooh, it is filled to the top. Holy crap. It's literally filled to the top. Alright, let's get into the theatrics of a couple second pour. Wow, that is motor oil. The head is almost as dark as the beer itself. These labels make it hard to get a good, like, click on the can, but we're getting it. Come on, there we go. Oh, that's double fudge. There was an ice cream that I grew up with that I absolutely could not get enough of, and it was Double Thunder Fudge. My mom would pick up a carton of it from Meijer or Target or wherever she was going when I was younger, and this Double Thunder Fudge was incredible. And this, I just had a Ratatouille moment where I, like, went back to my childhood, and it was after dinner, and maybe I'd done well in school that day, and my mom was like, well, what did you want for dessert? And I would be like, Double Thunder Fudge ice cream. So, wow, that just took me back decades. All right, shout-outs. We have a bunch of shout-outs. Do you want fine wine or cider? Fox and Hen Winery is located between downtown Grand Haven and Allendale, and they specialize in small batch wines and ciders that reflect the Lake Michigan climate. It's absolutely fantastic. You can check them out Fridays and Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. Links are in the description. So to Fox and Hen, cheers. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh. A bout of this beer. Oh, this is everything. This is everything good in a can. Oh my gosh. Okay. Next one. If you are going to be in the Grand Haven area on April 25th, that's this upcoming Friday, April 25th, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., we'd like to invite you to Fox and Hen Winery for the first ever Nick's News meet and greet. Or Nick's News meet and greet. Producer Donna is going to be in town and will be visiting the area and is excited to meet as many Nick's Newsies as she can. Rumor has it there will be swag bags featuring some of our newly printed merch and special event only items that will not be for sale. That's right, we have merch. Producer Donna got us hooked up with merch. If you can't make it to the meet and greet, that's absolutely fine. The new merch will be introduced on the May 4th episode, and I see a typo that I'm going to have to fix in post later. It'll be introduced on the May 4th episode, and it will be available for purchase, but you don't have to worry. We started very small. It is not going to make you have to sell a kidney. So to producer Donna, who's going to be swinging in on the weekend of the 25th, and will be with us at Fox and Hen from 5 to 7 on April 25th. Cheers. Cassidy, we might stay a little late. If you let us know you're coming, we'll stay a little later. We'll figure it out. We'll do it live. We know we'll be there by around 5 o'clock. When we leave, I don't know. We'll see. We've got an event that we got to go to, but we're gonna shoot for leaving at 7, maybe later. We'll talk about it. We will make sure you can participate. We'll make sure everyone that can participate can. How about that? We'll accommodate everybody. I am making bold claims. Producer Donna is probably getting mad at me. On to our next shout out. As you know, we have been following the story of SB Mowing and Miss Beth. We found out this week that Beth recently sadly took a fall and she broke her hip. SB Mowing set up a post office box for her and has requested cards or letters of support and encouragement. We've included the address in the description of this video below. If any of the amazing Nick's Newsies want to send a note her way, she's Beth B, P.O. Box 93, Wichita, Kansas 67201. If you want to send some get well soon notes or cards to Miss Beth, and we are hoping the best for her. And many thanks to SB Mowing for setting up that post office box for her. Cheers. Producer Donna is not mad. I'm used to you, LOL. It's that I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed that you're running your mouth again kind of statement. Last shout out. It's rare that we have to make retractions, but I have to admit when I screw up. A little while ago, there was a competition for the world's greatest penguin, the March of the Penguins Madness. I mistakenly thought that it was a naming competition for a penguin at the John Ball Zoo. I was completely off my rocker. I don't know how I was so wrong on what that competition was, but I was very wrong. Very wrong. And I owe Phil, the world's greatest penguin, an apology. So Phil, from the bottom of my heart, I am sorry, and you are indeed the world's greatest penguin. Cheers to Phil the penguin. Maybe, here's an idea. I see that Becky said I would love to make a card. If you don't want to send it, but you do want to make a card, maybe we'll collect them. Hey, Mona. Maybe if you make cards and you come to the meet and greet on Friday, we'll send the cards to the P.O. box. We could probably do that. So, or if you want to send them, you can. If you don't want to, though, we'll collect them up and we'll send them. One way or another, we'll get those cards out to Miss Beth. All right, news quote. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. That comes from, I have a second, oh my gosh, I can't believe I botched that too. man, I botched that too. That comes from Harriet Tubman, who was an American abolitionist and social activist who utilized the Underground Railroad to rescue approximately 70 enslaved people, including her family and friends, and later served as a scout and spy for the Union Army. That quote again. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars, to change the world. To Harriet Tubman, an absolutely amazing person. Cheers. Oh. Bug update. Apparently, Ripley understood my plight regarding the cricket. So, when I gave her the chirping cricket, she didn't disappoint. She savaged the singing nuisance, but she did not eat it. Usually, the couple of times that I've noticed that she's eaten, it's pretty obvious. She didn't eat this cricket. Instead, she beat the hell out of it and then dropped its husk onto the floor of her vivarium for the cleaning crew to take care of. Just disrespected the hell out of it. So she is a benevolent monstrosity, clearly, and had my best interest in mind and my sanity by taking care of the chirping cricket. Sue has continued to dig new burrows, like multiple burrows across his vivarium, which is very interesting. I've never seen him do this before. Usually he's just had the one, but he started to expand. It means he's probably going to try to deposit me into multiple areas to, avoid suspicion. I believe, sadly, Mantis McLeod may be getting towards the end of his life. Male mantises, once they reach maturity, do not live very long. They have one purpose, and though they will eat and drink, they have one purpose in mind, and they are on the clock. So I think Mantis McLeod has lived an amazing life, but he does seem to be ready to go. We will continue to care for him until he finally decides that the great game is over. So hopefully that won't be for a little while, but, we just have to be ready. All right, let's get into our good news. Our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice touchy-feely articles that we like to end on. We are going to start off in category 1, science and technology, and we call this first one, Ready, Aim, Spin. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Oop, I am noticing this is the night of typos. This is what happens when we switch broadcasts from Sunday to Monday, is I just become a typo king. Because I know one of these articles was sent in by a Nick's Newsie, and I forgot to mark which one. Producer Donna, could you do that for me while I am reading Ready, Aim, Spin? Thank you, Producer Donna. U.S. company to use giant spinning cannon to blast hundreds of pancake-like microsatellites into space. This article was posted to Live Science, and it was published on April 11th of 2025 by Harry Baker. A California-based startup plans to launch hundreds of flattened microsatellites into low Earth orbit at once by firing rockets out of a giant centrifugal cannon. The first batch of pancake-like spacecraft could be shot into space as soon as next year, and could set a new record. Spin Launch, which we have talked about in previous Nick's News episodes for a few years now, is a private company that aims to fire payloads into space using giant cannon-like machines. These cannons accelerate spacecraft using spinning arms inside a vacuum-sealed chamber before shooting them upward out of the barrel faster than a speeding bullet. Using this novel technology, the company aims to establish its own satellite constellation, Meridian Space, which they claim could provide more cost-effective competition to the likes of SpaceX's Starlink network. On April 3rd, Spin Launch revealed that it had received $12 million in funding from Kongsberg Defense and Aerospace, or KDA, putting its total funding close to $150 million. The announcement also revealed that KDA's Nano Avionics had been selected to build the first batch of 250 satellites for the Meridian space constellation, which could be launched during an in-orbit demonstration test planned for some point in 2026. On the same day, Nano Avionics also released a video explaining more about the new satellites. This revealed that each satellite will be shaped like a flat disk and will be placed on top of one another inside of a launch bus. Launch bus. Like a giant stack of pancakes. Each satellite will be 7.5 feet, or 2.2 meters for folks who haven't landed people on the moon, wide and weigh approximately 154 pounds or 70 kilograms, making them significantly lighter than most other communications satellites. For example, Starlink's current V2 satellite weighs around 1,760 pounds, or 800 kilograms each. So you have 154-pound satellite, almost a 1-ton satellite. And if they're accomplishing the same thing, why aren't you going to use the satellite that weighs only 154 pounds? Strange. If all the satellites are successfully delivered into low Earth orbit, or LEO, next year, it would set a new record for most spacecraft launched at once, currently held by SpaceX's Transporter-1 mission, which launched 143 satellites in 2021, according to Live Science's sister site, Space.com. Spin Launch has previously launched 10 rockets using its suborbital accelerator in New Mexico, which has a vacuum chamber around 108 feet or 33 meters wide and spins objects to speeds up to 5,000 miles per hour or 8,000 kilometers per hour. The most recent launch, back in September of 2022, successfully delivered multiple payloads into suborbit for the first time, Space.com previously reported, and I think we might have actually covered that article. Hello, Charlie in the chat, and yes, Christian, that was a dig at people who haven't landed people on the moon. Only the bravest of comments on Nick's News. During these test launches, the acceleration process took up to 30 minutes, and the rockets experienced up to 10 Gs of force, 10,000 Gs of force, before being fired into the upper atmosphere. 1 G is equivalent to the force exerted on an object by Earth's gravity, mind you. So it was like the hyperbolic time chamber, or the gravity chamber. What's the gravity chamber from Dragon Ball Z? Like, where it just does times gravity. So you think of like 1 G, what we experience normally. 10 Gs is what can be pulled, by like fighter pilots. And then you get 10,000 Gs pulled by these suborbital rockets as they're spun around before they get shoop-de-whooped up into the low Earth orbit. Details of next year's orbital demonstration are limited, but the mission will likely be carried out using the same machine as the previous tests. This means that the rocket will be catapulted into a suborbital flight before its engines kick in and deliver the final push needed to push the payload into low Earth orbit, according to Space.com. The main draw of this type of launch system is that it's much cheaper than firing chemical rockets. Spin Launch predicts that its future commercial launches could cost between $1,250 and $2,500 per kilogram launched into space, which is less than half the cost of SpaceX's Falcon 9 rockets, which cost around $6,000 per kilogram, according to New Space Economy. Since the accelerated rockets don't release any greenhouse gases during launch, they are also better for the environment than chemical rockets. These spacecraft also do not need boosters that have to be discarded in space, which will mean less space junk in low Earth orbit and reduced chances of discarded equipment falling back to Earth's surface on its own. Spin Launch is only planning to launch around 1,200 satellites in its Meridian constellation. However, once this is completed, the company is planning to build a larger orbital accelerator machine with a 328-foot wide or 100-meter chamber that will be capable of firing payloads for other companies directly into low Earth orbit without the rockets having to fire at all. So the current setup, which is much smaller, takes a rocket, spins it real fast, hurls it up into suborbit, and then the rocket ignites and carries it the rest of the way. The bigger one is just gonna throw stuff into space. That is awesome. If this happens, Spin Launch claims it could eventually launch up to 5 commercial payloads into space every day, according to New Space Economy. However, this could lead to more problems further down the road. If this ambitious space yeet, says Charlie, producer Donna, I hope they name it the Yeeter. If the ambitious launch frequency were achieved, it could exacerbate problems that communication satellites and other commercial payloads are causing in low Earth orbit, including an increased chance of spacecraft collisions, more light pollution in the night sky, radio signals that interfere with astronomy, and atmospheric metal pollution caused by spacecraft re-entry. So we're going to have to balance that out. But otherwise, that is really cool. To spin launch, getting ready to hurl low Earth orbit link up satellites into space. Cheers. Mona the Yeeter, I love it. Christian asking a really good question. Curious how many launches it can do without needing maintenance. Obviously, that's going to be a big part of it. Clearly, we're going to be saving some money, basically because of the less material required and the less fuel and greenhouse gas emissions. There's a lot of things that we're reducing by launching this way. But yeah, what is the turnaround time going to be like for repairing this thing if it gets damaged? So, all right, on to the next one. We called this one, Finally, my ripe avocado will last longer than 36 seconds. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Actually, I'm going to move this over here. There we go. In TED Talk, producer Donna, for the love of guacamole. In TED Talk, chemist debuts natural peel that extends the life of produce without refrigeration, pesticides, waxes, or plastics. This was posted to goodgoodgood.co. It was published on April 11th of 2025 by Megan Cook. When it comes to harvesting fruits and vegetables, food chemist Jenny Du knows that the clock starts ticking the second an orange is plucked from a tree. It's like a ticking time bomb, Jenny Du said on April 10th, kicking off her TED Talk at the TED 2025 main stage in Vancouver, Canada. It's literally this living and breathing thing that's slowly cannibalizing its own stores of energy and nutrients, just trying to stay alive until it ultimately gets eaten by microbes or some other animals like us. But not all products rot the same. A sentiment that rings all too true for anyone who's tried to buy and use a bag of spinach before it turns into wilted slime. Strawberries last much longer than oranges, but have you ever wondered why that is, and what could be done about it? Du posed to the crowd. My journey in trying to figure that out started in the spring of 2013, she said. Du launched the audience back in time to her days studying chemistry at the University of Santa Barbara, California, when she was trying to put her schooling to meaningful use. Two of my lab mates, James Rogers and Luis Perez, invite me to dinner, but it turns out to be a pitch disguised as dinner, Du said. They opened by totally flooring me with some staggering stats. The third of the food that we produce worldwide is lost or wasted before it ever has a chance to be eaten. For fresh fruits and vegetables, that number is a half. Half the food we produce is wasted when it's fruits and vegetables. Charlie in the chat. Ugh, spinach. The love-hate relationship I have with that and avocado is toxic. I think I had a conversation with producer Donna not long ago about an avocado that I was like, cool, it's ripe. I'm going to take care of it. And then the next day it had gone bad, and I'm like, are you serious, avocado? Du explained that waste exists in every step of food production. From the second an orange gets plucked from a tree to the transportation it requires when shipped to stores, the refrigeration used to keep it stable, and the fact that half of the oranges harvested end up never being eaten at all. It's not just a waste of the food, Dew said. It's a waste of the land, water, fertilizers, labor, energy, fuel, packaging, and money out of farmers and our pockets. If global food waste was a country, it'd be the third highest emitter of greenhouse gases after China and the US. That's when Dew, Rogers, and Perez created Imperial Sciences in a humble garage. We led first with some questions. How do plants protect themselves? Well, with peel. Plants, just like us, have a skin or peel, technically called the plant cuticle, and that helps to protect them from moisture loss, oxidation, and infection. What are those peels made of? Fatty acids, glycerides. These are ingredients found universally in all plants, in the peel, pulp, and seeds, and including in plants that we already eat. Charlie in the chat. Oh, Mona in the chat. Canned spinach. Yuck. Charlie in the chat. Like you go to squish it and it feels hollow, like its soul escaped in the night. Oh my god, the disappointment. Christian, Popeye is not to be trusted. Or no, Popeye is not enthused. Yes. Producer Donna, I feel like fresh spinach, but I'm with Mona about canned. Yuck. Going back to the original question of why strawberries last longer than oranges, do explain that different fruits have different shelf lives because of the thickness and arrangement of their natural ingredients. The idea then is, can we take these harmless edible plant-based ingredients, apply them in a thin layer on the surface of fresh fruits and vegetables to help reinforce reinforce the existing natural peel? If you do that, can you help to retain peak flavor, texture, and nutrients for longer without reliance on refrigeration, pesticides, waxes, or plastics? To test those questions, they partnered with a local farmer to source finger limes. They're literally finger-shaped, and when you cut them open, the pulp is in the shape of beets like caviar, Dew described. I think they meant to say beads. They are delicious, and they're super fragrant. If you can get your hands on finger limes, yes, they are absolutely delicious. Once picked, however, the organic limes dry out within 7 days, even with refrigeration. We took a test batch of material that we made using leftover tomato peels, since those are rich in these fatty acids and glycerides, Dew said. We dipped those limes in a bowl of these ingredients in water and set them aside to dry. Then we waited. We saw that we could add an extra week of freshness to the limes. When we saw that for the first time, we were like, shut the front door. Oh my god, this might actually work, Dew recalled. We then went and wanted to apply this little bit of extra peel to all other kinds of fruits and vegetables. Bananas, avocados, limes, green beans, tomatoes, bell peppers, cucumbers, berries, you name it. Nico came around on spinach. Charlie, I really want to make a chicken and spinach artichoke bake of sorts, but I'd hate to use canned because bleh. I made Parmesan roasted Brussels sprouts for yesterday, and ooh-wee, oh, those sound great. I love making Brussels sprouts. You can use frozen, says producer Donna. That sounds amazing, Charlie, from Nico. Charlie forgot about frozen. The Brussels sprouts were heckin' easy. Going to do broccoli and cauliflower chips like that, too. Very cool, Charlie. That natural compound, which is 1/10 the size of a small raisin, formed the basis of Imperial Sciences' appeal-protected produce. Even though these materials are, of course, edible, you can wash them off just by rubbing under running water, Dew said, later adding that the compound is neutral, with no taste, no smell. Since Imperial Sciences was formed in 2021, the startup has hit some astonishing milestones. We've prevented 166 million pieces of produce from going to waste, Dew stated. In doing that, that's avoided the emissions of more than 29,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions, which is equivalent to planting 485,000 trees, and saved almost 7 billion liters of water, or enough to fill 2,800 Olympic-sized swimming pools. The crowd erupted into applause. We're not a silver bullet to end food waste ourselves, Dew admitted. But thankfully, there are lots of startups, scale-ups, organizations, and individuals all around the world working to transform this post-harvest space. We're optimistic that our one small innovation using common ingredients inspired by the ancient wisdom of plants is playing its part in having an impact, reinventing the food system and helping it create abundance for it. That is fantastic. That is really cool. To Jenny Dew and her team at Appeal, that is hilarious. Appeal Sciences and their revolutionary way of increasing the shelf life of fruits and vegetables. Cheers. Christian asked, was the Olympic-sized swimming pools for those that have landed on the moon? Yes, it was. Because those of us here in the United States absolutely love to compare the size of things to other things instead of using any form of measuring system. How many washing machines does it take to get to the moon? Alright, so that's going to get us out of science and technology. We're going to move on to category 2, health and medicine. And we're going to start it off with an article that I like to call, you ever seen that movie Daybreakers? I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Mona, depends on how much you rev up those washing machines. Scientists successfully create synthetic blood that mimics human red cells. This was posted to 5 Minute News. It was published on April 21st of 2025. But I am not seeing who wrote it. Is it at the end? It's not. Well, many thanks to 5 Minute News for this article. In a major biomedical breakthrough, researchers at the European Bioengineering Institute, a consortium funded by the European Union's Horizon Europe program, have successfully created synthetic blood that mimics the function and structure of human red blood cells. Published in Nature Biotechnology in April of 2025, the discovery is poised to transform trauma care, blood storage, and long-term space travel across the EU and beyond. Blood shortages remain a global issue. In many regions, hospitals struggle with safe storage, cross-matching, and the availability of rare blood types. Synthetic blood offers a universal, storable, and infection-free alternative. Potential applications include emergency medicine, battlefield or ambulance settings where real blood may be unavailable, space missions where long-term preservation and universality are critical, or organ transplant, improving viability of donor organs in transit. HemaX is made from a hybrid of biopolymer scaffolds and engineered hemoglobin molecules. These synthetic red cells are flexible enough to pass through capillaries, mimic the biconcave shape of natural red blood cells, and can carry oxygen at 85 to 90% efficiency compared to human blood. So it's very, very efficient. Mona, awesome on the synthetic blood. Becky, wasn't this the opening plot to True Blood? I'm not sure. I wonder if it was. Charlie, I had to look it up. How have I not seen that movie? Yes, Daybreakers is an amazing film. If my brother is watching, I might get a text later about my choice of movies, but I personally really liked Daybreakers, so. Alright, back to the article. In preclinical trials, rats and pigs transfused with HemaX showed no toxic response or immune rejection after 30 days, a key milestone that eluded earlier synthetic blood prototypes. There are key advantages over donor blood. No need for blood typing, universally compatible with all blood groups. Long shelf life, stable at room temperature for up to 18 months. No disease transmission risk from viruses or prions. And scalable production. Bioreactors can produce liters of this stuff in a day. These features make HemaX an attractive solution for disaster zones, rural hospitals, and even Mars missions planned later this decade. The European Medicines Agency, or the EMA, and the US FDA have both granted breakthrough therapy status for HEMA-X, expediting its path to clinical trials. Human testing is expected to begin by late 2025, focusing first on trauma patients and surgical backup scenarios. Researchers are also exploring specialized variants of synthetic blood that can deliver targeted drugs or contrast agents for diagnostics and cancer therapy. That is awesome! This 2025 breakthrough in synthetic blood brings us closer to a future where blood shortages, transfusion errors, and disease risks can become a thing of the past. As HEMA-X moves into human trials, its potential to save lives, both on Earth and in space, is enormous. Once science fiction, artificial blood is now a real-world innovation, with global impact on healthcare, emergency response, and interplanetary survival. For everybody at the University Bioengineering Institute and the European Union's Horizon Europe program for creating HEMA-X, a synthetic blood substitute, cheers. Charlie's gonna watch Daybreakers. Christian's probably gonna watch Daybreakers. Becky had to look it up. Charlie, what? Self-stability alone is insane in advances. This is amazing. I agree. And producer Donna doesn't have to be refrigerated. That is fantastic. There we go. This next one is a good one because it's cancer. Fuck cancer. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Mona is also going to go watch Daybreakers. Christian, man, that's a hype article from a transhumanism aspect. It is. It really is, Christian. I agree. All right, here we go. Charlie, why my brain immediately pictured Dracula with a fresh bag popped like a Capri Sun. Yes, I want to try the Ecto Cooler. Blah! God. Alright. Game-changing breast cancer pill to be offered on NHS in England and Wales. This comes from The Guardian. It was published on April 10th of 2025 by Andrew Gregory. Thousands of women with advanced breast cancer in England and Wales are to be offered a game-changing, twice-a-day pill on the NHS after a U-turn by the medicine's watchdog. Experts hailed the decision as a landmark moment. As many as 3,000 women every year could benefit from oh boy, it's a medicine name. Oh, come on. All right, let's lock in. Capivasertib. Capivasertib. Say that 5 times fast. Capivasertib. Oh, I'm already screwing it up. Capivasertib. For hormone receptor HR positive, HER2 negative breast cancer that has certain genetic mutations and has spread. The drug, also known as TrueCap and made by AstraZeneca, blocks an abnormal protein molecule, AKT, that drives cancer cells to multiply, helping to slow or stop the spread of the disease. The drug, Claire Rowney, the chief executive and charity breast cancer... gosh, I am just screwing this article up. Sorry. Claire Rowney, the chief executive of Charity Breast Cancer Now, welcomed the green light from the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, or NICE, but said its initial rejection of the pill had led to treatment delays. She said, "This happens too often, and urgent action must be taken to ensure the quick approval of breast cancer drugs so they can be made available promptly to those who need them. NHS England must now put in place prompt genetic testing to ensure those eligible to receive capivasertib without further delay. The Scottish Medicines Consortium must also consider this treatment at pace now, so that we see it made available to all who need it across the United Kingdom. Results from trials show that capivasertib, plus the hormone therapy fulvestrant increased the time before cancer got worse by about 4.2 months, compared to with placebo plus fulvestrant from 3.1 months to 7.3 months. The Institute of Cancer Research, the ICR in London, welcomed the approval for a game-changing drug after decades of research by its scientists. The drug is suitable for patients' tumors with mutations or alterations in the P1K3CA, AKT1, or PTEN genes. These are found in about half of patients with this form of breast cancer. Professor Nicholas Turner from the ICR and the Royal Marsden NHS Foundation Trust led a key trial into the drug. He said the NICE approval meant thousands of NHS patients with advanced breast cancer with these specific biomarkers can now receive this innovative, targeted treatment to keep their cancer from progressing for longer. Professor Paul Workman, the former chief executive of the ICR and researcher in the AKT drug discovery project, said, "I am delighted to celebrate this landmark moment and see capivasertib become available to the NHS. It's immensely gratifying that years of collaboration have contributed to this new cancer drug, which has the potential to improve the lives of so many NHS patients living with advanced breast cancer." Helen Knight, Director of Medicine's Evaluation at NICE, said the watchdog had heard about the devastating impact that being diagnosed with advanced breast cancer has on people's lives. She said she was pleased AstraZeneca had worked with the NICE to enable it, to recommend this promising new treatment as a good use of NHS resources and valuable for money for taxpayers. That is cool. To AstraZeneca, to NICE, and everybody involved with creating this twice-a-day breast cancer fighting pill. Cheers. Becky said, "I got this." Thank you very much, Becky. Okay. That's going to take us out of health and medicine. We are going to move on to category 3, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. And we're going to start this section off with an All the Buzz article. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Yes, we are into the animals. I know some folks that watch may be watching just for this section, so we'll get to the article they might be watching for. We'll see. All right. New pollen replacing food for honeybees brings hope for survival. This was posted to phys.org, and it was published on April 15th of 2025 by the Washington State University. There we go. Scientists have unveiled a new food source designed to sustain honeybee colonies indefinitely without natural pollen. Published in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society Bee, the research from Washington State University and Apex Biosciences NV in Wingene, Belgium, details successful trials where nutritionally stressed colonies deployed for commercial crop pollination in Washington State thrived on a new food source. Charlie shouts, "The bees!" This innovation, which resembles the man-made diets fed to livestock and pets all their lives, contains all the nutrients honeybees need. It's expected to become a potent strategy for combating the escalating rates of colony collapse and safeguarding global food supplies reliant on bee populations. Or bee pollination. The newly developed food source resembles human power bars. These are placed directly into honeybee colonies where young bees process and distribute the essential nutrients to larvae and other adult bees. This breakthrough addresses one of the growing challenges faced by honeybees, a lack of adequate nutrition in their environment. Changes in land use, urban expansion, and extreme weather all negatively impact nutrition for honeybees and other pollinators, said Brandon Hopkins, P.F. Thurber Endowed Distinguished Professor of Pollinator Ecology at WSU and a co-author of the paper. Honeybees are generalists and do not get all their nutrition from a single source. They need variety in their diet to survive, but find it increasingly difficult to find a continuous supply of pollen they need to sustain their colony. Dr. Patrick Pilkington, CEO of Apex Biosciences US, emphasized the significance of this development. Until this study, honeybees were the only livestock that could not be maintained on a man-made feed, Pilkington stated. The reported scientific work shows in commercial field conditions that providing nutritionally stressed colonies with our pollen-replacing feed results in a major measurable step change in colony health compared to current best practices. Our product has the potential to change the way honeybees are managed. The research, a culmination of over a decade of work, involved extensive collaboration. Thierry Bogart, lead author and chairman of Apex Biosciences, highlighted the collaborative effort. The newly published work is the result of a Herculean scientific effort of 3 teams, Bogart said. First, the founders and scientists of Apex Biosciences, who tested thousands of combinations of ingredients on honeybees over more than 10 years to create this feed. Donna says, if he thinks the med names were fun, just wait till the next article. And then she laughs. Great. Second, the WSU team with leading honeybee and field expertise, and third, leading beekeepers in California together with extension teams. They made large-scale and science-based field testing of feeds possible. Paper co-author Anne-Marie Fauvel managed that third aspect. A critical discovery within the research is the role of isofucos... What is that? Isofucosterol. I wonder what that is. Isofucosterol, a molecule found naturally in pollen that acts as a vital nutrient for honeybees. Fascinating. Colonies fed with isofucosterol, enriched food, survived an entire season without pollen access, while those without it experienced severe declines, including reduced larval production, adult paralysis, and colony collapse. The new feed also contains a comprehensive blend of other nutrients honeybees require. To validate the efficacy of the new food source under real-world conditions, WSU conducted field trials with nutritionally stressed colonies in blueberry and sunflower fields, both known for poor pollen quality for bees. Compared to colonies receiving standard commercial feed or no supplementation, those fed the new food source thrived, demonstrating increased survival and colony growth. Some beekeepers don't pollinate blueberries anymore because colonies suffer or die, and the pollination fees don't cover the losses, Hopkins said. Blueberry pollen isn't very nutritious for honeybees, and they aren't adapted well to pollinating that crop. But if they have this supplemental food source, beekeepers may return to pollinating those fields since they know their bees are more likely to survive. The severe challenge of high annual colony mortality, with recent reports indicating crisis-level losses, underscores the urgency of this innovation. Pilkington expressed optimism about the discovery's impact. We are confident that the product will positively impact beekeepers and growers once it's available to purchase in the U.S., which is targeted for mid-2026, he said. Meanwhile, we are working with WSU and the beekeeping community across the U.S. to develop the best way to make use of this new tool in agricultural settings. That is awesome. To everybody involved with the Washington State University and Apex Biosciences to create a new fantastic superfood for bee colonies during winter. Cheers. All right, here comes the article that some folks might have been looking forward to. The live stream you didn't know you needed. And I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat for y'all to read along. There is also a link in the description of our video, just below the link for this article, if you want to watch the live stream. And boy, what a live stream it is. It's time to tune into the Great Moose Migration live stream. This was published to Popular Science. It was published on April 16th of 2025 by Andrew Paul. There it is. There's the moose. Swedish public television producers have spent the past few days rushing to ready cameras for one of the most anticipated shows of the season. But the last-minute chaos wasn't the result of poor planning or inexperienced crew members. It's all the moose's fault. There is a lot of moose traffic. They are waiting for us, producer Stephen Edlund told Sweden's public broadcaster SVT. We had to make a big adjustment based on our basic plan. That's right, if you want to watch the moose migration, there is a live stream of the moose migration. Bye, Nick, says Charlie. Edlund works on Den Stora Algvandringen, which roughly translates to the Great Moose Migration or the Great Elk Trek. Since its debut in 2019, the 3-week, 24/7 live stream of northern Sweden's Angerman River has documented hundreds of the world's largest deer species as they make their way across thawing waters to spring grazing pastures. Nicknamed the king of the forest, bull moose can grow to nearly 7 feet tall at the shoulder and weigh nearly 1,000 pounds. Females are slightly smaller, but still formidable. Although numbers have declined since the 1980s, Sweden still has more moose per square kilometer than anywhere else in the world. Exact numbers aren't known, but around 300,000 to 400,000 moose are believed to roam the country at any given time, depending on the season. Right now, it's migration season, and thanks to warmer weather, it started about a week earlier than anticipated. Originally planned to begin broadcasting on April 22nd, Den Stora Algvandringen went live on the national broadcaster streaming platform SVT Play on April 15th. For the next 20 days, 26 strategically placed remote cameras connected by nearly 12 miles of cable will provide uninterrupted moose content to what has been a steadily growing audience. And now we're hoping to add a few more as you are all aware of the Moose live stream. Nearly 1 million viewers tuned in during its inaugural 2019 season. Last year, that number grew to around 9 million. Producer Donna in the chat, it's a really nice live stream. Even if there aren't moose at the moment, it's full of nature sounds, birds, water, wind. It's nice. Charlie, this is definitely going to be living on my TV now. Devin, it's literal heaven. Charlie is becoming country. I mean, how could you not? It's a live stream that shows nothing but nature and occasionally a moose. Don't expect massive moose herds storming across the river about 187 miles northwest of Stockholm. The migration is a much slower-paced event, often featuring nothing but pristine Nordic wilderness for hours on end, peppered by an occasional small group of moose on the move. But the meditative views and calming ambient forestscapes are still worth a watch, according to the legions of fans. I feel relaxed, but at the same time I'm like, oh, there's a moose! Oh, what if there's a moose? I can't go to the toilet! One longtime fan told the Associated Press. That is awesome. To Stefan Edlund and Sweden's public broadcaster SVT for working on Den Stora Algvandringen, the Great Moose Migration. And to all the moose out there making the trek, cheers. I too will be tuning in to the Great Moose Migration, and again, link is in the description. It is the link that's right under the link for the article. Chin chin. Chin chin. Becky says when they start streaming capybaras, then I might have to watch that instead. Oh my gosh. If there has to be a capybara live stream somewhere. Alright, that's going to get us out of Flora and Fauna. We're going to move on to our final category, the Wholesome Notes. This first one was sent in by Cassidy. Cassidy, thank you so much for sending this in. We titled this, a new title we're going to use, Saviors of All Ages. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Producer Donna just posted in the chat a live stream for capybaras. Thank you, Producer Donna. On to this article. There was no time to think. East Kentwood Sr. saves man's life with Heimlich days after receiving CPR training. This was posted to Fox 17 West Michigan. It was published on March 16th of 2025, updated March 17th of 2025 by Olivia Yatuma. East Kentwood High School senior Natalie May saved a man's life on Tuesday of that week by performing the Heimlich maneuver at Brand's Steakhouse and Grill in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's kind of like a blackout for me. It happened super fast, May said. May just recently became CPR certified after learning how to do the Heimlich on a mannequin as part of the health curriculum at East Kentwood the week prior. May is also a waitress at Brand's Steakhouse and Grill. So while she was cleaning a table at work, May heard a woman yell out that her husband was choking. I didn't even think about it because there was no time to think, May said, so I just went ahead and started to do it. May performed the Heimlich without hesitation, relying on what she learned at East Kentwood. It's different than in person, actually, because the mannequin is like half a body, May said. So, you don't really get the whole feeling or sensation of a real person. Christina Thrash, May's co-worker, saw everything. This guy was way, way bigger than her, and the lady at the table, his wife, couldn't even get her arms around to be able to do the Heimlich, Thrash said. Thrash talked to the man afterward. He was just saying just the way she was putting her thumbs right in and under to, push it up and out. That's what saved his life, Thrash said. She was doing it just right. May never thought she'd have to perform the Heimlich on anything other than a mannequin, but 1 week after learning it, she saved a life. It's just very emotional, I guess. Just shocking to me that I was able to do that for someone, especially someone 10 times bigger than me, May said. According to an article from the National Library of Medicine, the Heimlich has a success rate of 86.5%. So if you're interested in getting CPR certified so that you're prepared if you're ever in May's shoes, there is a link in the article you can click to get CPR certified. That is awesome. To Natalie May, a server at Brand's Steakhouse and Grill in Grand Rapids, who stepped up and a week after learning how to do the Heimlich saved a man's life with it. To you, ma'am, saviors of all ages. Cheers. I might swing over to that Brand's just to say congratulations, and that was a really cool article. Cassidy, thank you so much for sending that one in. Cheers. Yep, there's producer Donna getting on me. Oh, can somebody... what is that? We're gonna... Can you block that person, producer Donna? Can you get rid of them? Thank you. Can you also ban them so that they can't post anymore? Get them out of here. I hate spammers. Jeez. Absolute trash. Yeah, I'm really surprised. We are growing. We're doing, in my opinion, we're doing really well, and we're growing continuously, but it does mean that we are getting a number of spammers. I am constantly clearing them out of the Facebook chat for the Facebook page and the Instagram page. Thank you, producer Donna, for getting rid of that spammer. All right. Moving on, we called this next one the Book Brigade. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. It's another Michigan one. Got some good Michigan ones tonight. And a future potential Michigan one, so once we get to that article. Why a Michigan community formed a human chain to move 9,100 books, one at a time. This was posted to CBC Radio, and it was published on April 17th of 2025 by Sheena Goodyear. Moving is easy when you get 300 of your closest friends to help out. When Serendipity Books in Chelsea, Michigan needed to move 9,100 books to the store's new location, 1 block away, they assembled a volunteer book brigade to form a human chain and pass each book one by one to its new home. And we had people from 5, 6 years old all the way through to 91 years old. Somebody brought their dog, and everybody was kind of having a bit of a street party as they were passing the books. Michelle Tuplin, the store's owner, told As It Happens host Neil Coxell. People were singing, they were telling stories, they were reviewing the books as they moved along. You know, there was lots of excitement as they got to the romance section. It was just so fun. Serendipity Books didn't do this to save on money or labor, Tuplin said. In fact, she hired movers to come the following day for the bookcases. We had so many offers of how people wanted to help, and we really wanted to be able to involve people in a meaningful way, and an inclusive way too, she said. The community really feels the sense of ownership to Serendipity Books, as they do, I think, with many indie bookstores. When she put out the call in January, she says she had no idea how many people would ultimately show up, and whether they'd be able to pull it off. But she says so many people heeded the call that they formed not one, but 2 human chains, and the whole thing was done in about 2 hours. It was section by section, and so the crazy thing is that really, items for the most part stayed in the right section and in alphabetical order, Tuplin said. So for us in the new space, you know, there really is no unboxing or rearranging, realphabetizing. It's really pretty organized. Casey Friss, 32, who works at Serendipity Books, grew up in Chelsea, a community of roughly 5,300 residents, 95 kilometers west of Detroit. She said the event reminded her of how special the community is. People just really look out for each other, Friss said. Anywhere you go, you are going to run into someone you know, or who knows you, and is going to ask you about your day. That's awesome. The shop reopens at its new location on April 26th, which happens to be Independent Bookstore Day. Tuplin admits that running a bookstore is a tough business, but she says people in Chelsea have always shown up for Serendipity Books. People recognize that they want these books in their communities. They know what an independent bookstore in a community means, she said. It means community involvement. It means community discussion, access to diverse books, all those great things. And people seem to know that if that's what they want, then they have to support the bookstore. That is fantastic. To everybody that went out in Chelsea, Michigan to support Serendipity Books to move 9,100 books by human chain, cheers. Okay, on to our last article of the night. Now, we called this one a Not All Heroes Wear Capes, but honestly, it's not just a Not All Heroes Wear Capes, it is also a I'm not crying, you're crying article. So, get ready. I will copy and paste this into the chat for y'all to read along. Dying to Serve. Man with terminal cancer embarks on a volunteer tour to all 50 states. This was published on goodgoodgood.co on April 16th of 2025 by Cameron Baker. When 55-year-old Texas man Doug Ruck was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2021, he was ready to fight. But having spent the last few years spending his life savings on treatment, he got the devastating news in January of 2025 that his cancer had metastasized and was now categorized as stage 4. His doctor said he could undergo chemotherapy and potentially extend his life for another 2 years, or pass on treatment and face a life expectancy of just 12 to 18 months. I thought to myself, I have 2 choices. I can sit at home and wait to die, or I can go out and live, Ruck told Los Angeles news station KABC. I'm naturally a joyful person, he added on a GoFundMe fundraiser. And not even the reality that I'm dying sooner than most will change that. Rather than see it as a death sentence, Ruck decided to take the news as a call to action. My dying wish is to help as many people going through tough times as I can before I go, he continued on GoFundMe. With this in mind, he launched his Dying to Serve tour across North America with a goal to visit and volunteer in all 50 states. And producer Donna just said, the GoFundMe link is listed in the description of this episode. It is right underneath the link for the article. I can't go back, but I can go forward and help as many people as possible before I go, Ruck told The Guardian. Ruck launched a GoFundMe to help support his efforts, setting an initial goal of $42,000, which is funny, given the meaning of life is 42. Once he had enough to get started, he moved out of his home, packed all of his belongings into his 2017 Chevy Malibu, and in March, he headed on his way. On his website, which we will make sure we link the website to, he shares the stops he has completed, as well as upcoming volunteer plans, many of which are in food pantries, soup kitchens, senior centers, shelters, and other charity organizations. To date, he has raised over $52,000 to fuel the tour. Unfortunately, due to the broken United States healthcare system, I have spent my life savings just trying to survive these last few years, he wrote on GoFundMe. That's why I'm asking for your support. I realize it's a big ask, as we all have our own burdens to bear, but I truly believe that I can and will do much good with the time I have left. Recently, he shared that the generous support would allow him to register Dying to Serve as a nonprofit, ideally to inspire volunteerism long after I'm gone, he said. About a month into the tour, Ruck has driven more than 4,000 miles, sleeping at hotels and Airbnbs, and attempting to keep each stay around $100. If you are in the Bismarck, North Dakota area, he's going to be there May 2nd. If you're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, May 6th. If you're in Omaha, Nebraska, he'll be there May 9th. If you're in Kansas City, Missouri, he'll be there May 13th. If you're in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, he plans to be there May 16th. If you're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, May 20th. Chicago, Illinois, May 23rd. Grand Rapids, Michigan, May 27th. I'm going to try to see him. I'm going to save that date, and I am really going to try to meet this man who is on this amazing trip. And if you're in Indianapolis, Indiana, he will be in Indianapolis on May 30th. The cancer still takes a toll on his comfort. He needs to pause the road trip to relieve himself every hour, and after facing exhaustion, he now schedules one volunteer shift roughly every 3 days, according to the Washington Post. Becky just said carpool. Yep. Regardless, he told the Post that he wakes up on volunteer days so happy, like he was shot out of a cannon. Ruck sticks to a mocked-up schedule, which resembles that of a touring indie artist or sports team's seasonal itinerary. He signs up for volunteer shifts through Just Serve, Volunteer Match, or other similar platforms. As of April 15th, he has volunteered in 13 states, and some folks in local communities come out to join him. He told The Guardian that 4 people joined him at his stop in San Francisco after hearing his story, and that he wants nothing more than 4 more people to heed his call to do good as he continues on his tour. I'll bet you we could rustle up 4 people at least. Help people and inspire more people to help people, Ruck told The Guardian was his dying wish. That's it. That's all. If Dying to Serve can help inspire thousands of people to volunteer per year, he added on GoFundMe, my story will end happily. To Doug Ruck, Dying to Serve, for being an amazing human being and proving that not all heroes wear capes. Cheers, sir, and I hope to be able to meet you on May 27th in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Cheers. That is about it. We had, 9 amazing articles ending with Doug Ruck and his trip across the country to help out everywhere. I thank you all again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nix News YouTube page. There will be a link going up on the Facebook page once we have once we've posted this video. So we've got the live version, and then we'll post the recorded version that's a little bit edited, and we will put a link for that up on the Facebook page. We're live every Sunday, usually, and our next episode will be on April 27th, 2025. I promise I will not destroy my vocal cords prior to that episode. I encourage participation, so if you feel inclined, you can message us with ideas for news brews, shoutouts, news quotes, and of course, good news articles that we can present on future episodes. If you do send a bunch of articles, I appreciate spreading them out across our 4 major categories, and those categories again are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice articles that we like to end on. You can message us on Facebook or Instagram, or email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. We monitor all of them actively. Feel free to like, subscribe, or comment on all of our content on Facebook and YouTube, our videos, and get the good news and joy into the algorithm. I will never tell you what to do, but I cannot thank you all from the bottom of my heart for everything you have done to support us with every like, every comment, and every subscription. Every page that we have is growing. Our numbers are going up, and that is getting our stuff into the algorithm. And that is the biggest goal, is to get this Hope Corps stuff out there. Combat the bad news that we are bombarded with good news that is sometimes hard to find. So thank you all again. As always, thank you again. I love you all. Have a great night, and I will play us out.